Okay, this is a quick guide to installing Ubuntu on an external drive. So I assume that you know how to make a flash drive to install Ubuntu. Download the ISO, burn it to a stick. We also need another USB device, which is what we're going to install to. So I have already booted up in the installer. I will point out, just open up Firefox, it's running off the stick, it might not be very fast. I just point out that that when you're using 23.10 for this, you'll notice that there are a couple of options to download. You need to use the legacy desktop installer, which is the same installer that Ubuntu used. It has a bug with installing to external drives, which I'll show you the workaround. The new installer, I just couldn't get it to work yet. I know they're still updating it. At the moment, it doesn't seem to install to external drives very well. It just hung on me. At some point during the beta process it worked, but right now it doesn't work. So we'll use the legacy desktop installer. So download that and make that your ISO image. I've downloaded that and I have booted into the installer, but I didn't do the install yet. I clicked the button try Ubuntu to arrive at the live disk desktop environment, and the reason why is we have to do a couple of things to set up the install before we proceed. So I'm going to run good old gparted. Click on the first drive, which is the drive, this is my device selection menu up here. So the first listed drive in my case is the internal drive. A modern computer would call that NVMe something, but on this virtual machine it's called SDA. The other two drives, STB and SDC, are the two USB sticks. So SDC is the installer, that's what we're currently booted up from, and STB is what we're going to install onto. But first, I need to make a change to the internal drive. I need to find the EFI system partition and manage the flags and turn off the ESP option. Whether it's Windows or Ubuntu or any other type of Linux, you need to do that step. That's applied automatically. That's already done. I'm also, for the sake of the argument, going to remove the contents of the target drive, and in gparted I go to device menu and I choose to partition it as a GPT drive. You can also do this from the disks app, but I happen to have this one open. Right, be careful before you do that, of course, because that wipes out everything on the device. Now we're ready to install. I'll close gparted. We'll use it again later after the install. Let's start the install. Continue, continue, continue. Yes, those options look good. However, on this screen, I must choose something else. And I am going to install on STB. So I want the bootloader to be there. And I need to create two partitions. I need to create a small partition, like 1,000 megabytes or a gig is very, very generous for an EFI partition. Normally that'd be half that. EFI system partition, that's good. Let's go back down to our list of free space. Click on the free space row, click plus. Now we are going to partition the rest of it as our space for root. Let's just check our settings. That looks good. Okay, we can install now. And I will come back when that's finished. That's nearly finished. While that's just finishing off, I'm going to open up gparted again. And we want to manipulate SDA, we want to manipulate that system partition, choose manage flags, and reactivate the ESP flag. Okay. Okay, it's done. Let's see what happens. Now I've taken a bit of a break to configure the new install with guest editions and so on, so it works better in VirtualBox. So let's boot into it. So there's two things we have to prove. We first of all have to prove that the original installation is undamaged, and then we need to prove that we can boot into the external device. So first of all, I'll just make sure that I can see the device which has the new install, which is the Intenso one. I'll just remove the install image drive, and let's start up virtual machine. So first it's booted into the 22.04 bootloader, which is good. Let's have a look at the boot manager settings. Okay, so we can see there's now two installs of Ubuntu known to the BIOS, and they're both labeled Ubuntu, which is a bit confusing. On this BIOS, as I move between the two options, I can see changing the partition ID, but it's not really helping me identify which one is which. It's possible to fix that by effectively relabeling one of the entries using the command EFI boot manager, which I won't go into. I've got another video on that. Let's try the first one and see what it is. So the second one is this one, is the 2204. Let's just make sure that works. Okay, so that's the original install. That's working fine. I'll just make sure that looks good. USB 3. Stick is in the computer. Let's start it up again, and we'll try and get into the other one. It's not booting. It's not there. Okay. Right, now I can see Intenso is coming up here. I can choose this. If I choose this explicit name for the device, it will bring up the bootloader, which is good. Let's go back to the bootloader. Now there are two options, both called Ubuntu. The second one seems to be the native internal install. So the first one is our new one, so that's good. So this is Ubuntu 23.10. It's on a USB stick, and I can now take that with me. It's got everything it needs to boot itself, which is good. So that's the end of the process. We've successfully installed it on an external drive without harming the internal drive. I'm going to stop this part of the recording, and I will splice in at the end of this the little video I made earlier on manipulating EFI entries, in case anyone's interested. I'm not sure it's really worthwhile, whether it's worth the effort, but nonetheless it could be useful to know. So let's have a look at that. So df shows me my current drives, and I can see that I'm using dev STA as the install drive because that's where my root partition is. On a laptop, that's more likely to be in a /NVMe drive. It could be called VFAT if you're using Virt Manager, but on VirtualBox it's SDA2. SDA being the first one. If there was a USB stick installed, it would be SDB. So SDA is the one we want. So let's have a look at our current EFI settings. We're booted from entry 4. So relabeling means we have to create a new entry, copying the important parts of the existing entry. The 1 here means we're installing on partition 1, and this is the binary that the bootloader entry must point to. So here's a little something I prepared earlier. So we're going to install a new entry. It's going to be installed with this drive as the boot drive, the first partition, the label, and the binary. Ubuntu always uses this as the binary. It's done, and now we have the new entry added. Now it would be foolish to delete entry 4 before we know that entry 5 works. You can reconstruct boot menus for most BIOSes if you do screw this up, but let's play it safe. Let's check that version 5 there works. When it does, we'll come back and we'll get rid of entry 4. Now I've configured my grub menu to display the menu in timeout after 9 seconds, and that means I can see this entry UEFI firmware settings. That's because I don't know what the keyboard shortcut is to get into the VirtualBox BIOS. If I did know what the keyboard shortcut was, whether it's F2 or F12, I would be able to access that. But this is a fallback to go into the settings via the grub menu. This is the VirtualBox BIOS, so it's going to look different to your BIOS. So now we can see the 2 entries. The one that was there already, that's the one you're going to get from the install, and this is the internal menu. You might not have seen your boot menu if you never bothered to access a second boot device, but every UEFI BIOS has such a thing. Let's check if this works. It's looking good. We've gone to grub. We're loading Ubuntu. So this works. Let's list our entries. I'll make the terminal window wider. So we now know that entry 5 works, and we can get rid of entry 4. This is the command to delete an entry from the menu, and that's done. In terms of the changes to grub, to give you that menu, at the top of etc. default grub, you change the timeout style to be menu, give it a timeout value of 9, and then you run sudo update grub, and it will give you the option of choosing that menu from the grub boot up.